What's up, everybody? This is Chris Sarabrio, another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of your vehicle. On today's show, we're going to be heavy on the EV situation, whereas Tesla has decided it's going to roll out its Robotaxi service out in Texas. We're going to jump in starting about gas-powered cars because you know they're just not going away, but the concentration of the show will be about Tesla and EVs and robotaxis and autonomous, that's not the word, autonomous vehicles driving by themselves. These self-driving vehicles I've considered to be a problem. I've seen lots of problems with them, and I've reported lots of problems about them on my show, and I've done it so much that I've been called an EV hater. A guy that hates electric vehicles, a guy that, taunts against electric vehicles. And I'm not that. I don't mind if you have an EV vehicle. I don't care. I'm big on the idea that the future of EV vehicles is just going to bring us closer to a situation where Skynet can take over and kill us all. Yeah, you know what I mean? But on today's show, we're just going to talk about some of the EV situations. We're going to talk about the rolling out of the Robotaxi. We're going to talk about a Tesla driving from the factory to its new owner. All this technology, all this autonomous driving that's happening in the world, and I don't like it. So let's get started really quickly. First off, we're going to check out, well, not really check it out, but the world has decided to some degree, mostly in California, that we're going to just start driving EV vehicles. Everybody's going to have an EV vehicle, and we're going to just completely and utterly get rid of gas-powered vehicles and eliminate them from our roadways, which I've never thought that's going to be possible. It's not possible whatsoever. I don't see any future that has a road that doesn't have a gas-powered vehicle on it. We don't have the infrastructure, and I say this a lot. We don't have the infrastructure to have a completely electric vehicle world. It's going to be a long time till we do have that infrastructure. And to complete that infrastructure, we'd almost have to have as many gas stations as many EV stations as gas stations. Essentially changing all our gas stations into EV stations. And even then, the infrastructure for a completely EV vehicle world is going to be extremely hard. So, quick story. We're going to check out. A story about. It's not really a story, but this is guy Doug McIntyre. He's over at Climate Crisis 247. They talk a lot about EV vehicles, gas-powered vehicles, and things of that nature. I tune in pretty decently amount. But he's just talking about how gas-powered cars are just not going away. It's not a situation where we think that's something that's possible, that, gas-powered vehicles will go away and we'll be only driving EVs. So let's check that out real quick, and then we'll dive head first into the EV world that I am a hater of.
What's the future of gas-powered cars in America? Well, it's pretty good, and that's too bad for the environment. This is Douglas McIntyre, Editor-in-Chief at Climate Crisis 247, coming to you from New York City. One of the things that was supposed to help save the environment in the United States is that the gas-powered car would disappear. EV sales would skyrocket, and by the end of this decade, most new cars sold would be EVs. It hasn't turned out that way. A company like Ford only sells about 5% of its cars as EVs, and that's after a $25 billion investment. People still want gas-powered cars, and they want them badly. There's several reasons. One is that gas prices are still low, so there's not much of an incentive to buy an EV. Another one is that there are tons of gas stations. You don't have to try to go find some place to charge up your car. And finally, people are used to them. People are used to things, and they like to have them year after year after year. One of those things is a gas-powered car, which have been around for a century.
So, Doug's pretty straightforward, and it's pretty simple, and it's pretty much what I've been saying for the longest time. People love their gas-powered vehicles. People love having vehicles that they can gas up in 5, 10 minutes and be on the road. People love cars that they can drive very, very far distances without getting out the car and have to plug it into anything. And the future of EV vehicles has to grow exponentially before we'll get to a point where our roads will be the majority EV vehicles. We just don't have it. We don't have all the stuff that we need to do it. We don't have the consumer confidence that would allow us to do such a thing. So, I don't. It was a highfalutin idea for the powers that be in California to say that we would be pretty much all EV vehicles by 2035. Even I think the original year was 2029. It's impossible. We just don't have the infrastructure. We just don't have the consumer confidence in electric vehicles to get a thing like that done. So it's just not plausible, guys, for us as a world to be sitting here with all EVs on the road. We haven't reached there, and it's just another factor of the lack of research and development, the lack of concentration on EVs, the lack of promoting EVs correctly to the point where people want them. And of course, it's always going to be about price. If people can't afford it, they're not going to buy it. They're not going to buy an EV vehicle because it's more expensive. They're not nowadays. If they're listening to my show or any other entity, they're going to realize that EV vehicles are starting to skyrocket people's electric bills when they're charging them at home. They're realizing that they have to pay to charge EVs at these EV charging stations as well. So you get to a point where you're understanding that having an EV vehicle is not only comparable, but it's in some cases more expensive than having a gas-powered vehicle. So why would we change? So what we're talking about, of course, and let's keep it going, Doug, is, just trying to convince us that in his world, he thinks that we should, be diving into a more EV world because of climate, because of, gas powered vehicles being bad for the environment, smog and all these other things that we have to consider when we're, talking about gas powered vehicles and, the pollution that they cause and all of these type of things. And, I never done a major study myself on how gas powered vehicles are affecting the climate. I assume that to some degree it is. I'm not absolutely sure, but it's one of those things where it's been happening for a long time, and we've already started to have automakers make sure that vehicles didn't make as many carbon emissions, all this pollution that come from these cars. Car makers have tuned down that in these gas-powered vehicles to the point where, it's not as bad for the environment as it was before. So we're just going to have to continue down that road because it is going to continuously be a desire for people to have gas-powered vehicles, because EV vehicles are just not sought after by the masses as much as we wanted it to be when EV vehicles first started coming out. It's just not a thing. People are seeing the downside of EV vehicles more specifically because of watching my show, because I'm an EV hater. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you about these EVs, and I'm going to tell you that not in all cases that they're better than your gas-powered gas guzzler. So let's keep going. We're going to talk about how Tesla did the rollout for its Robotaxi. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the autonomousness of Tesla and the Robotaxis, and Tesla has dug deep into its fully autonomous mode when it comes to their vehicles, and they've decided that they're going to pretty much attack the Texas streets to be a proving ground for this. They've already rolled out the robotaxis in Texas. They had a vehicle that drove from the factory to the new owner's home in Texas. So Texas has decided it's going to be the proving ground for all this autonomous work. So good luck on that, Texas. Let's keep it moving. We're going to check out Tesla's Robotaxi release, how that went in Texas, and then we're going to talk about some other autonomous situations with Tesla and keep it going. And I'm going to get y'all out of here. It's one of those Sundays. So this is the rollout for the Tesla Robotaxi. Let's check it out.
Tesla just launched its Robotaxi service today, and the automotive world is buzzing. The pilot program kicked off in Austin, Texas, where a small fleet of Tesla Model Y vehicles, equipped with Tesla's full self-driving technology, started taking real passengers on real trips. This is not a test simulation or a distant concept. Tesla Robotaxis are live, on the road, and carrying people across a geofenced area in South Austin. The rollout is limited for now. Only about 10 to 20 vehicles are in service, and the rides are currently available.
What is a geofenced area? Does anybody know? I'm not sure what a geofenced area. It sounds like an area that is, fenced in by a geographical. It's a geographical area that is very specific. The taxis can go out of this area, or you can only do a road taxi in this specifically geographical fenced area. Let's go that route.
Available to a select group of early users, including influencers and investors. The cost: a flat fare of $4.20 per ride, which is not only eye-catching but also likely a
$4.20. And this didn't happen in California? That's funny.
Wink from Elon Musk himself. Each ride is monitored remotely, and there is a Tesla employee sitting in the passenger seat, not the driver's seat, as the cars do not need anyone at the wheel. This keeps things in check while Tesla fine-tunes the experience.
So there is somebody in the car with you as you drive in this robotaxi. So it's not fully autonomous, is it? There's somebody in the car with you. It's not fully autonomous, so they on that bull jive. We need to see it when ain't nobody there. Now, mind you, we did the story about the Waymos, and the Waymos we understand because that Waymo was tripping and it drove into traffic and all that, and the cop had to pull it over. Well, we know that Waymo, they have like a monitoring center where they monitor these vehicles, and you can call and report stuff to them. So I'm assuming that once Tesla's robotaxi system is up, it's going to have probably the same monitoring system. But is that going to stop people from getting to accidents, cars from crashing into things that the cameras of their car can't see? Because that is going to be the biggest issue I see, is that these cars are literally just big old cameras. They have to be, because they have to be able to see everything, to see stop signs, to see stop lights, to see pedestrians, to see other cars. There has to be utmost cameras around these vehicles, and cameras fail. Cameras fail all the time. I replace cameras in vehicles all the time. So if you're in one of these vehicles and one specific camera fails and the system isn't notified of that, then that camera's not seeing that left side of the vehicle or that right side of the vehicle. It's not seeing a car coming from this side. It's not seeing a light change. So these are the problems that we're going to have in the future when it comes to these autonomous vehicles.
While these vehicles are just standard Model Y crossovers for now, the future of the service points toward Tesla's purpose-built Robotaxi, often referred to as the Cybercab. That model will have no pedals and no steering wheel and is expected to hit production sometime in 2026.
That's crazy. So, I mean, and that's what I'm talking about, because now you're talking about a car that you will get in where you can't do jack diddly while it's driving you down the road. Now, I have a problem with that. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about the TV show Upload that had the guy that was building a specific kind of company, and the competitor company had his robo taxi crash into another car to kill him. and he had no control of stopping it, getting out of the car, anything like that. And that's what we're talking about. Full autonomy means loss of control. Full autonomy means loss of control for a person that's in that vehicle. And what you gonna do if something bad happens? You can't do nothing. You can't jump out the car. You can't push on the brake. You can't push a button to automatically stop it. There's gonna be so many. There's gonna have to be so many kill switches, or there's gonna have to be certain items put in these vehicles so that a person who's in the vehicle, who can see with their eyes that there's a problem or something's going to happen, that the person who's in the vehicle has the ability to stop it. Because there's going to be situations where computers fail, electronic control modules fail, all kinds of system failures in these vehicles, whereas you are just going to be in danger, and you're not going to have any control over what happens while the car is driving. Let's keep going.
The choice of Austin makes sense. Texas offers a more favorable legal climate for autonomous vehicles than states like California. That said, lawmakers have...
That's funny. Why would Texas have more, or I guess you're saying that they have less legal barriers? Well, that kind of does make sense. California is horrible with the legal stuff. Let's keep going.
Have already expressed concern, asking Tesla to pause operations until stricter rules go into effect later this year. The rides so far have been described as smooth and mostly reliable. Users reported a few minor issues with app access and pickup clarity, but no major technical problems. With companies like Waymo already offering autonomous rides in larger volumes, Tesla is entering a competitive market. But with its massive fan base, tight integration with its cars, and ambitious software goals, it is going to be a major player. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss out on future updates about Tesla's Robotaxi rollout and the future of self-driving transportation.
All right, so that's pretty cool. I mean, we're... All right, we've already done stories about Waymo, and this is another Waymo type situation. Of course, it's Tesla, it's Elon Musk, so it's going to be slightly different. It's going to be looked at slightly different. But the fact is that for me, it's just a loss of control, and I'm, being labeled the EV hater. I'm not a hater of electric vehicles, but I am a guy that's you haven't cornered my heart on the idea of getting into a vehicle that is controlled by a robot to drive me from one place to another. I am still a guy that has watched enough movies and TV shows that I have some fears of autonomous driving and robots being behind the wheel with my life in the crosshairs. The future of autonomous driving, the future of AI robots, and the future of all of these type of things just brings me to the idea that Skynet is coming. And we have to understand that this is just the advancement of technologies. This is just the advancement of ideas and the advancement of people's personification on building things that are meant to help us, meant to make our lives easier. And I accept that. I understand that, advancements in technology will continue to come, and people will continue to build things to make their lives easier, make their asses fatter and lazier, and I get it. It's just the way the world is going. I mean, we really are a world that's leading toward that WALL-E era, and I talk about that a lot, mostly to my friends, but we're definitely leaning toward a world where a society of people that just like the movie WALL-E, just fat asses just sitting in chairs that can float around, and our cars move by themselves, and our spaceships move by themselves, and all of our chores and jobs and work is done by robots. And it's a sad thing. I think that Well, I can't say it's a sad thing because it's just the advancement of technology. It's the advancement of life. This is just one of those things. People are going to continue to build. They're going to continue to come up with ideas for things that were meant to help us. And I think these things will help us, but I understand that to some degree they're going to come at a cost. So, recently Tesla did have a vehicle that drove from its factory, I guess, over in Texas to the new owner's home. We're going to check out that video, and it doesn't have like anybody speaking or anything, so we're just going to talk about it as it goes. And then we're going to watch a video where the young gentleman talks about all of this technology and all this Tesla stuff, and he kind of has they kind of have an opinion similar to mine. So let's check that out real quickly. So this is a Tesla vehicle operating robotaxi software. So it is running off the robotaxi software to drive this car from this factory all the way to a person's house. Now, I saw an article. Now we're watching the vehicle drive from the factory to a person's home. Now, I saw in an article they stated that this vehicle was driving 72 miles per hour on the highway. Now 72 miles per hour technically is speeding in most states and on most highways. So it's those little things that I'm talking about, because eventually when we have situations like that, it's going to be what we're talking about is the lack of control, the lack of a human mind being behind a vehicle, and it all being based off of computers and camera angles and ability for a camera to see something and to register it and to compute it. Now we're watching this car get on and off the highway, going particular speeds, pulling up behind vehicles, braking. This is all fantastic stuff to be a robot or a vehicle in itself just driving by itself. So it does give you a positive thought that this is something that can happen, but we're talking about this is a controlled environment. As you can see, there are people that's driving with the vehicle to record it, of course, and they're monitoring everything about the inside of the vehicle. And I'm thinking about once these are on the road for a year, 2 years, 3 years, that is when we're going to see the degradation of the properties of the vehicle, of the cameras, of the suspension, the braking systems. All these things are things that the car itself is not going to know unless, and of course, depending on sensors and connections to all these things that the computers can see and read about the vehicle. There's going to be situations where, the car is not going to know that this system's not going to work, that system not working. And what we're talking about is you could be in this car in the back seat chilling, doing your office work, and let one of your cameras just go out while you're in the midst of driving. And the car doesn't see another car coming from the right side and it doesn't stop, or it doesn't see a car that's not going to stop at a stop sign. Because there's a lot of things in driving that you just don't pay attention to, or you wouldn't see if you're not paying attention. And a car like this doesn't really pay attention. It is based off all of the computer sensors and cameras of things it can see. Crazy. It's kind of tight though. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of tight to some degree to have your vehicle drive to you. I always thought the concierge service on these vehicles was great. It's a great name, but it's only designed for it because it was originally designed where like if you're at a restaurant and it's your car's in a parking space, you can get it to drive from the parking space to where you're standing, so you don't have to walk all the way to your car in the parking space. And it's some great stuff. I'm not trying to say that It's not great things, but it's not sustainable for the majority of the people in the world. It's not something that has been tested vigorously enough that we should feel safe about it. And that's what I'm talking about. This is stuff that, and this is pretty much all automakers, but we're throwing cars out there and we're really not doing the best research and development to stop problems that are going to happen in the future that could cause deaths and things of that nature. So let's keep going. What we're going to do right now, they're going to, who is this? This is a company called X0, probably automated AI stuff, but they're going to talk about the no human driver. Kind of lots of my feelings. So let's check this out real quick and then I'm going to get y'all out of here.
Tesla just announced they're delivering their first self-driving Model Y in June, a car that drives itself from the factory to your doorstep. No human driver, no steering wheel touched. This is either the future arriving early or a massive gamble with public safety. Elon Musk dropped this bombshell Thursday, saying Tesla's been testing driverless Model Y cars on Austin streets for several days with 0 incidents. He's calling it a month ahead of schedule. The plan? Launch a Robotaxi service June 12th with 10 to 20 vehicles cruising around Austin. But here's where things get interesting, and maybe a little concerning. While Musk celebrates being ahead of schedule, the reality is Tesla only started testing without safety drivers a few days ago. Compare that to Waymo, who tested for 6 months with safety drivers and another 6 months without them before launching in Austin. That's a year of testing versus a few days.
Research and development, guys. I talk about it all the time. And, it's Elon Musk, so we always think that he's ahead of the curve. But you have to put in some stipulations. There used to be stipulations on how much research and development, how long a vehicle was tested for, and all these type of things, encased on automakers when they built these vehicles. I don't think those rigid guidelines are in place anymore because there's not enough research and development on these vehicles. And to cut corners like this on such an important thing would be a disaster.
You do the math. Austin city officials are worried. They told Fortune they're missing crucial information about Tesla's robotaxi service. Emergency responders don't have the planning guides they asked for. Nobody knows exactly what level of autonomy these vehicles will use. The city transportation department is basically flying blind here, and the launch is supposedly weeks away. This isn't just about corporate competition. It's about real cars on real streets with real people walking around. Remember, Tesla's full self-driving has been under federal investigation since October for crashes in poor visibility conditions. Just last December, they recalled nearly 2 million vehicles after about 1,000 crashes involving their autopilot system.
See? That's what I'm talking about. And that stuff is not reported regularly. Everybody really doesn't know that this is occurring, that these fully automated vehicles are crashing because nobody's reporting it. And it's a fully automated vehicle. Probably wasn't nobody there to tell nobody. It's, that's what I'm talking about, guys. It's the, we already know that human error causes a lot of the automobile crashes in the world today. And the idea is for these vehicles to take the human error out. But the fact is that really human error is being built into these vehicles, so these vehicles are going to create human errors, and on top of that, there's going to be the errors that are going to be created from failures to systems at the same time.
Let me paint a picture of what we're actually talking about. These Model Y robotaxis will use what Tesla calls FSD unsupervised. No human backup, remote operators will monitor the fleet, but Musk says as confidence grows, they'll need less oversight. The cars will be geofenced to specific areas of Austin, basically restricted to zones Tesla considers safest. The timing here is fascinating. Tesla reported its first ever drop in annual deliveries. Their automotive revenue fell 20% in the first quarter of 2025. Musk blamed it on factory retooling for the refreshed Model Y, but the political backlash from his Trump administration involvement isn't helping sales either. This robotaxi push feels like a Hail Mary to prove Tesla is still the innovation leader. Meanwhile, Waymo is already doing 250,000 paid trips every week across multiple cities. They've logged 56.7 million autonomous miles, all without human supervision. Their Jaguar I-Pace vehicles use 5 LiDAR sensors, 6 radars, and 29 cameras. Tesla? They're betting everything on cameras and AI, calling LiDAR an expensive crutch. Musk literally removed LiDAR from test vehicles in 2021. The technical divide is massive. Waymo creates detailed maps of every city before deploying. They know every pothole, every traffic pattern. Tesla's approach is more ambitious. They want their cars to drive anywhere, anytime, using just cameras and neural networks. It's like the difference between following a GPS versus navigating by landmarks. Here's a scary reality check. 2 months ago, a Tesla on the latest full self-driving update suddenly veered off an Alabama road and flipped upside down. The driver said he was paying attention but couldn't react in time. The car gave him less than 1 second before disaster struck. This is the same FSD technology that's supposed to power these robotaxis. The economics are wild too. Tesla is planning to launch a dedicated robotaxi called the Cybercab by 2026. No steering wheel, no pedals, priced under $30,000. They claim rides will cost 30 to 40 cents per mile, cheaper than most bus tickets. If they pull it off, it revolutionizes transportation. If they don't, well, that's a lot of damaged cars and possibly injured people.
Yes.
Texas was a strategic choice. Unlike California, where Tesla would need permits and extensive testing data, Texas has minimal autonomous vehicle regulations. Austin can't even impose its own rules.
Damn.
One city council member said they have no power over private companies using public roads as testing grounds.
Damn.
It's the Wild West of self-driving.
Damn.
The stakes couldn't be higher. Tesla's entire valuation increasingly depends on autonomy. Elon Musk himself said the only things that matter long-term are self-driving and their Optimus robots. They're literally betting the company on technology that had several days of public testing. Several days. Bloomberg reports the robotaxis will rely on heavy teleoperation, possibly one remote operator per car. So much for full autonomy. It's starting to sound less like the future and more like a very expensive remote control car experiment. Industry experts are split. Some see this as Tesla finally delivering on decade-old promises. Others view it as dangerously premature. The head of Waymo's former CEO didn't mince words, saying Tesla has, quote, failed utterly and completely at autonomous driving for 10 years straight.
Damn.
What happens June 12th will echo through the entire auto industry. Success means Tesla leapfrogs years of careful development by competitors. Failure could set back public trust in self-driving technology for years. And somewhere in between, that's where things get really messy. Partial success with occasional failures when real lives are at stake. This is bigger than Tesla versus Waymo. It's about how we develop potentially dangerous technology. Do we test for years like Waymo, or do we move fast and break things, hopefully not literally, like Tesla? The answer might determine whether your next car has a steering wheel. So what do you think? Is Tesla being bold and innovative, or are they playing Russian roulette with public safety?
They're playing Russian roulette with public safety, and that's the bottom line for me. And I speak so much on this show about research and development and how much time it's taking for these people to build these vehicles and how much time they're taking to make sure these vehicles are going to stay, drivable for over the years. And that takes a long time, like the gentleman said. And that's what I'm talking about. It's all about the research and development and the making sure that you're doing everything possible to make sure these vehicles are going to be safe on the roads. Waymo did extremely better. 6 months in, 6 months out. A lot more time spent in the research and development, and we can tell that Tesla and Elon Musk are going to try their best to cut a couple of corners to get this done, and that is a dangerous, dangerous situation. It's a dangerous thing to do. Research and development is almost the most important thing when it comes to building these vehicles, and it has to be done. It has to be done. It just downright has to be done. Specifically, these new electric vehicles. I talk a lot about how they catch fire, how the computer will have you veer off into traffic and all of these other problems. We showed the video of the Waymo vehicle getting pulled over, or the, even the desire for people to attack these vehicles because they're autonomous, and nobody's in them, so they, criminals, or the what was it, No Kings protesters, thought it was okay to destroy these vehicles because it's the idea that nobody owns them, that they're robots and they're just out there being robots. And it's one of those situations where we just have to make sure we understand that, yes, technology will advance. Yes, we will continue to take advantage of technology in the future and the things that are being made to make our lives easier, but we just have to make sure that we do plenty and plenty of good research and development so it doesn't turn into Skynet. It doesn't turn into a situation where these computers can override their protocols and start attacking us and running us over and running into walls because they can't see them because the cameras went down. You have to make sure that these systems have default systems that are going to stop bad things from happening to people in these vehicles, because the people do not have control of the vehicle while it's moving. So there's got to be kill switches, safety nets to some degree, a brake in the back end of the vehicle that you can push if it's about to hit something, a kill switch that you can stop the vehicle if it's about to drive off into traffic or something like that. And we definitely should probably have people monitoring these vehicles as well. So, they were saying that they were going to have people monitoring them. And I think they said that for the testings of the robotaxis, that it was a person sitting in the passenger seat. But if these vehicles are going to be on our roads, it has to be some oversight, some people monitoring these vehicles, where they are, what they're doing, what people are doing with them. Because, it's going to be a point where we get to where people can use this to their advantage to, commit crimes, or, kill people, have a vehicle run somebody over and not, be held liable because the vehicle did it. And it's all down to Skynet for me. And I say that a lot, but it's all down to making sure that these computer systems and these robotaxis or anything stay in a world or in a place where they make sure that they don't hurt other people. Because, they call me an EV hater. I understand. I say bad stuff about, EVs all the time. Just not a big fan. Definitely more of a gas-powered or hybrid vehicles. I love hybrid vehicles. Love them to death. Just not ready to sit here and say EVs are the way to go. I'm just not ready to do it. You can call me EV hater all you want. It's fine. I'm going to continue to tell the truth about what I find about EVs. I'm going to continue to tell the truth about all cars because I'm the car concierge and that's what I do. So, real quick, I'm going to show you all this video. I talk about it all the time. I don't know. There's a lot of people who have seen it, a lot of people who have not. But I talk about this all the time. I talk about the idea that these vehicles can be taken over and used for bad things, and in situations where, the world comes to an end and the technology is just set forth to do whatever it does, and cars like these autonomous cars are just going to start doing what they do. So this is a movie. It's called Leave the World Behind. I think Barack Obama wrote this movie or something like that. He had some hand in it or something. But this is a movie called Leave the World Behind. It's a pretty great movie. I loved it. It was a great movie. It has this scene where Teslas are pretty much running into each other because they're autonomous vehicles and they're designed to hit the highway. let's check this out real quick. I'm gonna let y'all out of here. Great movie, by the way. Great actors. Look at all them beautiful white Teslas, y'all.
Okay. You see anyone?
There's nobody here.
Hey, someone's coming. Yo!
Rules trail self-driving capability.
Clay, get in the car!
Oh, wait, shouldn't we wait and talk to him?
Get in the fucking car right now!
What's he doing? Should we flag him down? Maybe they know something.
There's no one in that car!
Mom, you let this car go!
That's what I'm talking about. So, and you know, that, my friends, is the future that we're headed for. A future where there's all these cars that have the ability to drive themselves around and pick up people or run people over. And that's the fear. Alright guys, I'm going to let y'all get up out of here. I am Chris Surratt. Please like, share, subscribe. Hit me in the DMs if you have any questions, concerns about EV vehicles or any other vehicle. And I, the car concierge, aka the EV hater, will get you as much information as I can. And I'm out. Peace.